Cal, or BloominKnits on Instagram, and what I'm gonna make here on YouTube, BloominKnits, cause I bloomin' love knitting. I sound stupid. I'm a new mom to newborn twins, so if you hear crying, that's them. This is my co-host Delia. Yeah. She is one of our twins. They're fraternal and they look absolutely nothing alike. I know you're unhappy. I know. Right, little co-host. That's it. That's it. Go boy. This is my other co-host, Baymax. Let's tell the viewers what you're wearing. She's wearing a sweater vest that I whipped up when I was pregnant with my son, actually. I think I was making it for one of my nieces, and I made it super small, so I was never able to send it to her. This vest was knit with hand-me-down yarn from my Grandma Jean. My Grandma Jean taught me how to knit, and she's my bestest knitty friend, and she's the first person I call whenever I finish something and I want to show her, or if I buy exciting yarn and want to show her. She lives in Buffalo, New York, so that stinks. Otherwise, I feel like we would hang out and knit and go yarn shopping all the time. Right, girly? Yeah. So I just cast on, I don't know, I'm the queen of just like casting on a random amount of stitches, and I'm like, let's see what this is gonna be. Which I know is a really bad habit to get into because I'm constantly playing yarn chicken. So yeah, it has like just kind of like a garter stitch heart. I did like a little turtleneck. Yeah. I started knitting around early elementary school, and my grandma taught me, you know, my cousins and my sisters, but I was the only one it really stuck with. Like, I would love just walking through Michael's and Joann's with her and like touching all the yarn, which I know is like a huge knitter thing, but like non-knitters don't understand. That makes me sound like a loser. Anyway, yes, learned how to knit. Then I would just pick out yarn when we would go to Hobby Lobby, Joann, Michael's, and then honestly, I used to get a lot of Walmart yarn when we would go grocery shopping. I would like run away from my mom to go like look through the Walmart skeins and pick stuff out. Yeah, so that was pretty much how I got into knitting. I did a lot of like cowls and infinity scarves in that 2012 era, and then like into later high school, my best friend Anna and I actually made like a little knitting company. We called it Sweater Weather Co. Still on Instagram. We haven't gone on it in a decade plus, but that's Baymax. He's my dog. He's a golden retriever. After the infinity scarf, beanie, Sweater Weather Co. era, I went to college and I kind of took like a 6-year lull of knitting, and then around like end of like middle of COVID, I would say 2021, when my sister had her first son, Benny, I was rebit by the bug with a vengeance, and I started knitting baby blankets galore. Anyone who was having a baby, any friend, family member, I would knit just like random like non-pattern following blankets, kind of like in a quilt format. So like I would do like squares like in a row, textured knit patterns I wanted to learn, or like kind of like doing my own color work stuff. Like I would find like random pictures online and like make like a grid and like count how many stitches I would need to do to make certain motifs, I guess. And again, I wasn't following any patterns. I was just kind of like using whatever yarn I had, and then maybe picking stuff up at Hobby Lobby. Still not really that into fibers. I would say it wasn't until my Aunt Lynn, who is also extremely beautiful avid knitter, she brought me to the Western New York Fiber Festival in 2023, and that was my first like real experience with like gorgeous hand-dyed yarns, beautiful colors, way too expensive yarns, but yeah, so it was there I picked up like, oh geez, multiple projects worth of yarn that I still haven't knit through. The year that my son Milo was born, end of 2023, I had asked my mom for a membership, a club membership to the local yarn shop, and the shop was called Knit Atelier. And the first few times I went, I brought my very little baby Milo, and I would go and I would knit for a little bit if he allowed me. And I learned to follow some pattern. I was surrounded by gorgeous fibers and was able to like pick up lots of stuff I hadn't tried before, and that's kind of what brought me to knitting YouTube. And on knitting YouTube, I loved watching everyone's projects and like just like what their goals were and what they're focused on, like what, I don't know, just like I want to meet and become friends with other knitting people and have people to talk to about knitting that aren't like my mom and sisters who have no idea what I'm talking about because knitting is a foreign language. This has been on my to-do list. One of my goals for this year was to make knitting friends. Make knitting friends, knitting community. And I can't go to one of those knit nights or meetups because I have twin newborns and a 2-year-old toddler, so that's not gonna happen for us for a very long time. We're not able to leave the house. Well, we can, it's just very difficult. It does not look the same as it used to, and there's definitely not knitting going on. So yeah, I'll start with what I am wearing. This is my Rebel Wrap by Wool and the Gang. I got this as a Christmas gift knit kit about 2 years ago, and I knit it last January. I started it. This is knit in their like fluffy alpaca yarn. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I think it was like about 12 skeins, and I'm pretty sure it's just like 100% alpaca, and it's so soft. I love this blue color. You'll find that I love knitting in blue. I like to wear it with this like lace Free People like mock neck undershirt. It's very soft. It's very drapey. I like to knit things that are extremely oversized and drapey and feminine is the right word, but yeah, I like a whimsy, fuzzy knitwear things that me living in Florida really stinks that I can't wear most of the year. Since moving here to Florida, we moved here in 2024. Yeah, we moved here in 2024. I've been really trying to knit things with cotton, bamboo, linen, but as most of the knitting community knows, it's less fun to knit in those fibers. And I still like to knit in like alpaca and wool. So yeah, it's too hot here in Florida to wear those fibers. So really trying to knit with summery fibers so that I can wear more things and also not sweat out my children, because most of my knitting I love to knit for them. So yeah, there's been times where my son has like put on a sweater and then I put the sweater on him and then he's taken it off because he doesn't like the way it feels, which I don't blame him. Wool, even as like a wool vest, sleeveless shirt, is not comfortable when it's hot out. And I guess I will go into my recent finished projects. Let's see if I can get my co-host to let me put her down. Okay, so recent finished projects. I have recently finished these cutie little knitted baby booties for the twins. It was knit from scrap yarn that I had left over from, I think it was a Lana Grossa something cotton. It's like a cotton, a polyamide mix. And I had made Milo this sweater with white, yellow, and blue stripes back when he was like 6 months maybe. He had to have been older than that. This picture looks older than that. So recently finished another pair of booties. I made these for my friend Baby, who's a little bit older. So I wanted to make them like in a bigger gauge. They're like this boysenberry color. This was just like scrap yarn I had from high school, probably from either Walmart or Joann's, and I just wanted to use some of it up. Pretty sure it was a free pattern that my grandma had back when we were little, and so she just kind of like read it off to me over the phone, and I wrote it down in my notes, and then they were super quick. I've been quickly like knitting these up. I've made the girls 2 other pairs before they were born. I knit these up this past month in those little yellow ones. These are to send to my friend Anna's baby, Sophie. Also recently made my sister, 2 of my sisters also, me and 2 of my sisters were all pregnant at the same time. My older sister just recently had hers a couple weeks after I had the twins, and then my sister Carly is actually having her second baby tomorrow, and I made him, baby Rocco, this adorable little gingham blanket. I picked out this yarn at Hobby Lobby, and it is the I Love This Cotton yarn. I actually have really been liking, I know people have, oh, there's my other co-host. I know people have a lot of mixed reviews about this I Love This Cotton yarn, but so far I have liked working with it. It's very soft for cotton. I have not washed it yet, so I don't really know how that will go. But I picked out this like a navy blue, a light blue, and a light gray. And when I was making it, I was really wishing I would have done white instead of gray. I just think that would have popped more, and I think I would have, I don't know, I think that would have been more satisfying to my eye to have made it with white, but that's okay. I didn't follow a pattern. I just kind of looked at photos online and tried to make up my own pattern. I did like a moss stitch border for a couple of stitches before switching into the stockinette squares. All right, new co-host, what are you wearing? She says I'm wearing a Gap outfit, but I'm also wearing knitted booties from Grandma Jeannie. That same pattern in white. She made these for Milo before he was born. So this blanket I also lined. I didn't want to have the baby, her baby get its fingers stuck or anything. So I thought lining it, they also live in Buffalo, so lining it with this like fuzzy fabric I picked up at Hobby Lobby also just makes more sense, you know, because it's cold there. I'm not a great sewer. I hand sewed this lining on with what I think is called a whip stitch. I don't actually know. But yes, baby blanket. So this is the second baby blanket I started and finished this past month. She already had the baby a month ago, and I need to mail this out. I made this in more scrap yarn mixed with drops alpaca silk in cream. And then some more scrap yarn for the border and the embroidery. So their last name is Giles. I embroidered their name on the blanket, last name on the blanket. I've been just like casting on random stockinette projects that I can do while I'm like breastfeeding or like holding sleeping babies, because it's really hard to do color work or like cables or anything difficult around a baby in your lap. Also have one finished garment. I made this tank top that was mostly knit in 2024, but I just recently finished it and blocked it. I knit this with one of the yarns that I got from that Western New York Fiber Festival in 2023. Okay, so I found the label for this yarn that I got at the Western New York Fiber Festival in 2023. It is from Long Meadow Farm, the Woolroom's hand-dyed luxury yarn in 45% baby alpaca, 45% superfine merino wool, and 10% cultivated silk. It has a 5.5 to 6 stitch, I'm not sure what that means. Knit on a US size 3 to 7. It's 100 grams for approximately 240 yards. It was $26.50 for a hank. Like a really pretty like blue tonal yarn, and it was really, really nice to knit with. I would say my only complaint is that it bled a lot, so I'm a little bit nervous to wear it with some of my clothes, you know? Like if I were to wear like this cream mock neck lace shirt underneath it, like is it gonna turn it blue, you know? And I like to wear this under my knits. It did bleed onto my bamboo needles while I was knitting this, and then when I blocked it, a lot of color came out into the bathtub. So I'm hoping that when I wear it, like I would like to wear this with like these white jeans or another pair of white jeans I have. I wanted to make kind of like a tunic style. I cast on the back first, right? So I did the back in this kind of like broken rib, and I knit the entire back panel, and then I picked up at the shoulder and knit all the way to this part here. And then I did the same thing on the other shoulder and knit to the kind of like where it would fall at the top of your pant. And then I seamed it up the middle together. And then I picked up on really tiny needles, much smaller gauge, around the entire circumference of the waist. And I knit a couple rows and then doubled my stitches. And then over the course of this like skirted, ruffly bottom part, peplum part, maybe you would call it, I slowly increased my needle size back to what I was using for the gauge up here to create more of like a skirted look. And I kind of like how it turned out. Like, I am not happy with it. I was just winging it. So that's always a risk, especially with expensive yarn. I probably should not be doing that. But, you know, I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear this. So I love long, flowy, like Free People is my favorite store. I've always really loved like tunic-y, very feminine looking stuff. All right, so that's all my finished projects recently, and now I will show you all of my current works in progress. I'm gonna start with my oldest whip first. So I am making this caprifol. I'll show a picture of what it's supposed to look like over here by Scapel, Oslo. This was a knit kit that I also had gotten last year, and I started this, I want to say, in January. And so once I found out I was pregnant with the twins, I was super sick, and so I also had a toddler to watch. So the color work projects that I had signed myself up for in the beginning of the year last year were really put on the back burner. And it is like this beautiful, I think it's Norwegian, that is knit in this like beautiful blue, almost like a royal blue, and this like gray white, like a very cool white with like gray undertones, and then this like dark navy to make like the flower motif that is happening here. This is all tangled up. On here I have my little stitch stoppers that I think are so cute. They are a cactus, and I think it's a monstera, in like an aqua blue. And then I have little fun floral stitch counters to mark the pattern throughout. I really want to have this to wear, but it being Florida, it's really hard to find the motivation to work on this, especially when I have 400 offspring. That's what it feels like right now. But I do really want to get back to working on this. I should make it a priority. The yarn that it comes in is, the kit comes with, is the Surrey Norse Glammel, if someone wants to help me pronounce that. And it's soft, but it's not like the softest. It's got a little bit of like woolly scratchiness to it. I just realized I can't read this. Is it a different language? So it's 60% Norse Glammel and 40% Bommel, if someone wants to share with me what that is. I suppose I could Google it. And then it's 135 meters for 50 grams. There's also this color and this color all together, which I really like. I love like a blue color scheme, so it's very aesthetic to my eye. Not to chat on too long about it. Have this colorwork project that has been not given much love in the last, I want to say since September or October. I've been having a hard time working on this. Nothing wrong with the pattern, I love it. And it has nothing to do with the yarn, because I also love working on this yarn. It's just the fact that it is color work, and it's impossible to do with before when I had my toddler running around and was feeling so sick and very pregnant. And now it's hard to work on because I need something mindless to do around the babies. So I want to finish this. I want to have this as a finished piece. I'm knitting it in a bamboo yarn. It is called Viking Garn Bambino, and it is 50 grams for 176 meters. Again, I don't know the yard conversion for that. They say to knit it in a 3mm, and I'm holding it double for this sweater. Color number 443, 50% cotton, 50% bamboo, I believe. Yeah, so it is making this like beautiful bow stripe fabric. This pattern is the Darling Sweater by Engineering Loops is her Instagram name, and I will put her here. This pattern is so cute. And it's a charted color work. I signed up to test knit this, and unfortunately didn't make the deadline, obviously, because it's still not done. And it has been sitting in this project bag that I got from TJ Maxx. It's just a big tote. My other problem with this is I signed up to test knit a size that I think was way too big for me. In my head, I signed up for test knits and I'm like, yeah, I like stuff really oversized. I have a larger bust, so I usually fall into one of the bigger categories, but then I'm not filling it out in other locations, so I have a little bit of a hard time with like length and size for that reason. So I signed up for a size, I think that was too big. I think I signed up for a size 5 or 6, I don't remember, but it was one of the bigger sizes, and I remember casting it on originally and I'm like, this is enormous. And so then I went down in needle size or something, I don't know, I did something to make it, I recast this on multiple times, and that I feel like was hard getting started to begin with, and then finding out I was pregnant with twins was like a whole other level. But anyway, color work in the round up until you split for the sleeve. So right now I have done that, and I have done some decreases in the pattern for the front part. She has you knitting back and forth color work, which I've heard a lot of people not enjoying when they talk about it on YouTube, that they don't, not for this pattern specifically, but just doing color work flat in general. I didn't think it was that bad. It definitely takes more brain power, so I need to build myself up to do it more than just like doing something stockinette or just like regular stranded color work. But I didn't think it was that bad. You just read the pattern the opposite direction, you know? Which was something I thought was gonna be way more difficult than it was. I'm excited to have this as a giant oversized sweater to wear. I thought that the bamboo cotton mix would make it easier to wear more throughout Florida weather, so we will see. I haven't gotten the sleeves yet, so we'll see about that, how we're gonna do that. I may just make this a long tunic instead, we'll see. I really love, I know this color was really popular this year, but the butter yellow with this like creamy white. I'm not sure if it's really showing up from this far away. The little bow, so it's like a bow and then like this like stripe pattern she included to help catch floats. And I think it's really pretty and it's gonna be very cute. So that is another project I am working on. Okay, this is another project that I am making for the girls. I'm going to make this one, and then I'm going to make like a blue-green combo with different yarn and make a second one for the other twin. And they can have little matching fluffy alpaca sweaters. So I have picked this up. It's Lana Grossa Avio or Avio. There's a lot of hard pronunciation things in knitting. Anyway, I have picked this up in this like really pretty like sunset sherbet color before I ever had the idea I was having a girl, because I was not pregnant when I picked this yarn up from that Knit Atelier store in Torrance. And it's just like a fluffy, I think it's alpaca polyamide mix. I think that's so cute. So I'm just finishing up the last sleeve, and then I'm gonna add something to do like a little closure here in the back. And yeah, it's color's instant happy. I don't think I could ever wear this. It's very bright, but little girls can. This is a stash like Karen cake yarn. I'm showing you the ugly side. This is the back. I just like did like a random heart motif with like a little bit of a stripe here to use up some stash yarn. Again, this was, I think it was like Michael's Karen cake. And it comes as a giant like self-striping ball or cake of yarn, and I didn't like that. So I went through and I separated all the colors so that I can use them as just individual colors. For an acrylic style yarn, or I think it just might be, I don't know if, is there a difference between polyester and acrylic? It knits up really fast, it's very soft. I knit the back panel for this. I did kind of like a cast on X amount of stitches, and then I tapered down to make kind of like a trapezium in the back. And then I did the little makeshift color work, and then I'm picking up for the shoulder, and then I'm going to join them together and knit the rest of the way. Make a little V-neck with just like random like heart color work that I have just been doing as I've making up as I go kind of thing. When I do another one, I have like blue and green, so I think I'll do that for the other twin. Knitting for the twins is really fun because I can like knit stuff that's like the same, or I can knit stuff that's different and like opposite colors, and I find that really fun. Makes it more, get to use your creative juices more. Yeah, so what else am I knitting? So this was another knit kit that I got for Christmas, but I got it this year from my mother-in-law, and it is the Blanca Julep tee by We Are Knitters in the color khaki. This is a Pima cotton. So this is either the front or the back. I think you knit them the same, and then you pick up for whatever width of sleeve you want, and seam it all together, and that's it. So it's knit bottom up, both front and back panel. So I am excited to have a little cotton tank to add to my knitting wardrobe that I can wear hopefully more in Florida. Yeah, so it's got this like, I don't know if it's like a yarn over pattern in here. I really like this green. It's kind of like a muted olive green color that I think will look good with my eyes. I just broke into the second skein, so I think I'll have a little bit left over depending on how I make the sleeves. I think I'm also going to do a different neckline than what the pattern tells you to do. I've seen like examples that other people have made on Instagram under the hashtag Blanca Julep tee, and a lot of people have done the same little border as the bottom up at the top, but I feel like that will look, I don't know if I'm gonna like how that looks with this pattern here. So I think I might try and learn just like an I-cord edge finish for the neckline and have it be more boaty, but we'll see. We'll see if I'm as adventurous. But anyway, these knit kits are really cool. I actually got a second one also for Christmas. I haven't started yet, but it comes, I don't need needles, but it came with needles, yarn, and then the pattern is just emailed to you. These are cool gifts for knitters. Okay, so that's another whip, work in progress. And I think my last big whip I have been working on. So this is the yarn, and the pattern is in this 52 weeks of Easy Knits lane book. And I am making the Give Me the Tea by Jenny Ansa. And yeah, it's basically just like a basic short sleeve sweater raglan. And I'm using yarn that I've again had in stash. This was a Christmas gift to me from one of my sisters, I think. It's an alpaca yarn, and it is 50% alpaca, 5% wool, and 45% acrylic. It's a little scratchy. It's not my favorite yarn to work with, but I do love the color. It's a nice like navy. I'm holding it with this mohair acrylic blend. That was also in my stash. 20% mohair, 30% wool, 50% acrylic. So yeah, it's not the softest, but it will be a warm garment, and I think it's going to be a gift. So yeah, together, they're not the same shade of blue. It's making kind of like, not a marl, but more of like a tonal look that I really like quite a bit. Even though it's not gonna be for me probably. Just cause I won't be able to wear it. Florida is not conducive to the knitting hobby. To the knitting lifestyle, Florida is not conducive. Anyway, this is knit top down raglan, cast on stitches, and then I folded over and continued for the raglan. Pretty basic. Again, it's from the 52 weeks of Easy Knits, and it has been something I have easily been able to knit around my twins while they're breastfeeding. So that has been really nice to have that option. There's still a lot of raglan increases I have left on this, but this is my current progress. I'm really like enjoying this easy raglan process. I did, however, change my gauge partially through. But I went from 5mm needles to 6, not millimeter, US 6, 4mm. I love a blue, just so aesthetically pleasing. Clearly I love blue and florals. BloominKnits. I think that's all I have to show you. All of my current works in progress and my current finished objects, what I'm wearing, and I think that's all I have. I would love to connect with people on here because I'm having postpartum cabin fever and I want to make some knitting friends. So that is my goal with this, is to make knitting friends because I have the postpartum cabin fever. Yeah, thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.